While loops in Algorand Python work the same as native Python. If you're not familiar with how while loops work in native Python, definitely check out online Python tutorials and circle back to this video. A couple things to note about while loops in Algorand Python. You can use break and continue in your while loops, but you can't use while else statements with Algorand Python. Let's look at an example of using while loops in a contract. Here we have a method named loop. We have a variable named num that is assigned to uint6410, and the loop count is set to 0. Here we have a while loop, and it has the same syntax as native Python that has a condition num is greater than 0. So this while loop will continue looping until the num variable is greater than 0. Now let's look at the logic inside the while loop. Here we have an if condition that checks whether the num is greater than 5. Now if that's true, num will be decremented by 1, and the loop count will be incremented by 1. Now by using continue here, what it's saying is, hey, instead of running the rest of the logic, go back to the beginning of the while loop and run the loop again. So this loop is going to go on until the num variable is no longer greater than 5. So when num variable hits 5, it's going to actually ignore all of the logic inside of the if condition and start running this line where the num variable is decremented by 2, and then the loop count is incremented by 1. The loop continues to go on until the num variable is equal to 1. And when the num variable hits 1, the while loop will break and will no longer continue looping. So even though the initial condition says while num is greater than 0, it will stop when num is equal to 1. So this is how you can use a while loop in an Algorand smart contract.